My name is Nedžad Avdić. I came from Bosnia, from Srebrenica, and now I'm 37 years old. And 1995 I was a boy, 17. At that time, as I said, I was a 17 years old boy. I visited high school, and in fact I am only of a few survivors from a place for mass killings, and I'm only a boy who succeeded to survive. I was injured, I was shot, and the Serb soldiers left me to survive and to bleed. They thought that I was dead, but at that moment when they shot all the people, I was, as I said, injured hardly, and at that moment I only wanted to die. But I didn't dare to call him to kill me, and no, I never thought I could escape, I could be alive. But what to say? I tried to run through the forests with my dad and uncle and other men and boys, and after 2 days and nights, Serb soldiers called us by megaphone to surrender, and they promised us that we would have not been killed. But after we surrendered, we were loaded on the trucks, and they took us in all directions. There were a lot of people, a lot of men and boys, about 1,000 to 2,000, and all of them were shot. Only 2 of us succeeded to survive. One other survivor actually helped me and saved me. So at that moment we were so frightened and had fear for our lives. We didn't know where to go, where to escape, really, because Dutch soldiers escaped, left us. They ran away. They went to their base, and we left alone ourselves and tried to hide in the forests. And but in the end, when I see from this point of view, and at that moment no one didn't believe that Serb forces could kill all the people. It was unbelievable. I thought they could, and every one of us, when we were imprisoned in a school in the end, when we were ready for killing, we didn't believe that they could kill all of us, that they could shoot all of us. I could think that they could kill 1 man, 10 men, 100 men, but to kill all of us, it's impossible. Today I live in Srebrenica, only of all my relatives and all my family, distant and close, and it's very difficult. Only me live there. I returned in 2007, and it's a big challenge to live there. It's not a problem for ordinary people. Ordinary people accept the events that happened there, but problems are come from the top by the Serb politicians and the official Serb policy. It's a problem. Many of local Serbs and ordinary Serbs people and families are ready to accept what was going on there, but many of them have a fear to talk about it because they could lose their jobs. The UK is very important, and they could make pressure on the Serb politicians, and Serbia finally and has to accept its role in the war, and to stop to give support Bosnian Serbs politician. It's problem today. 20 years after the war, we are trying to find our fathers, our brothers, our relatives, and today they deny the genocide there, and because of that, we today in the schools in the Srebrenica and in eastern Bosnia, it's impossible to speak about that genocide because nothing happened in there. And tomorrow, when my children visit the schools, they could learn nothing about Srebrenica, nothing. And because of that, it's very important that we have support here in Britain and in the world, because because all of us know what role was of the United Nations and other countries. Yep.
Every 11th in the month we have a peaceful demonstration where we, mothers, sisters, we gather and have a peaceful walk where we demand truth and justice about the events from the 11th of July. And the people keep on asking us, how do you move on? How do you manage after 20 years? What moves you? And then we have only one answer. We don't hate anyone. We don't want to hate anyone. We want to continue, and we are seeking for truth and justice, and this is actually what's driving us, what's moving us forward. Not a single mass grave was open without us being there, because this is what drives us. This is what we are hoping, that this mass grave that is open, and that the remainings that are going to be found there, that is going to bring a peace to one family. And by being there, it gives us a right. It gives us a right to say that these persons have actually lived, and it gives families a hope that they can actually bury their loved ones. What hurts the most is that even 20 years after the genocide, the mass graves are still being hidden from us. So many people are being counted as missing. So many families cannot find their peace of mind because the remains of their loved ones were still not discovered. And what hurts the most is that there are these people who are still hiding these facts from us. They're even denying that it ever happened. And what we want is that this denial to stop, so we can find the truth, we can find the justice, so that the remains of our loved ones would find the final peace in the memorial center where they deserve to be.
We're honoured here at the Senedd to be the hosts of the charity Remembering Srebrenica, and we will have an event to commemorate the terrible massacre 20 years ago when over 8,000 Muslim men and boys were killed at the end of the Bosnian War. It was Europe's worst war crime since the end of the Second World War, and it was committed overwhelmingly against Muslims. These Muslims were indigenous European Muslims that had been living in tolerance and harmony with their neighbours. And I think that's something we've got to remember, And if we want to build a better future, we've got to acknowledge what happened in Srebrenica and ensure that it is never forgotten. I'm amazed by the victims and the relatives of victims who are taking part and giving this courageous witness. Their faith in a better future is astonishing. They're working for reconciliation, and it's our hope that other communities will share in that, so that Bosnia can become a stronger state in the future. Because it's very important that we work there in today's Bosnia when we remember the events of 20 years ago, because they continue to need an awful lot of help with their peace process and with their political institutions, particularly to encourage the Serbs to confront what they did, many of them 20 years ago, and accept that this was an act of genocide, and they've got to make reparations morally for that, and themselves work for reconciliation and peace in that country. As Deputy Presiding Officer of the National Assembly for Wales, it is indeed my great honour to extend a very warm welcome to you all here in the Senedd this evening, and particularly to our honoured guests from Bosnia. In architecture, you see the beauty of the two cultures combining to produce something tolerant and life-affirming. Yet evidence of the war is also starkly visible. The pockmarked buildings and the roses of Sarajevo, the scars left on the roads and pavements by the bomb blasts that are now painted in red. It is a poignant reminder that the siege of Sarajevo lasted longer than the siege of Leningrad.
They have lived last 20 years with grace, dignity, perseverance, and commitment and pain. And though their loved ones are not with them, they have kept them alive in memory. And it is because of these women that we are here today, remembering them and sharing their pain, their sadness, and their loss.